Hi again, this is another video talking about this Agenda 21 rebellion. You really need to take notice of it. So download, if you're really interested, send me an email requesting a copy of this, right? Top secret, Sustainable Nation Building Industry Conference. But when you send me the email, send it to famousmickjagger@gmail.com. All right, now I use this is a special email address. It goes through a VPN in Asia. It's routed around the world. It's got end-to-end encryption. It's never been hacked. You cannot hack it, and you cannot trace the source of where it comes from. So, as I say, knowing the underworld, knowing the creator of the dark web, you are able to get access to secure digital infrastructure. So send me an email, but when you do send me an email, I want you to tell me personally from you. We can give you an invite. Now it's $50,000 to become a delegate, and another $20,000 to provide you with a technology package which will have the latest high-end laptop. You don't need, for virtual reality anymore, you do not need your high-end gaming computer, because our new latest laptop is fast enough to handle anything that a gaming computer can handle, which means it's mobile now. You can watch it in a park, our virtual reality live streaming in a park. You can watch it in a cafe, or you can watch it sitting on the toilet. Take your choice. So it's now mobile. As long as you've got the different headsets. So you'll need the Vive headset for the virtual reality, and then you need the Microsoft hologram technologies. So it's all in the package, and that's another 20 grand. You'll get also superior service. A consultant will deliver, set it all up for you. If you've got one for your business or at Parliament, and then another one at home, the consultant will teach your children how to use all these technologies, and your children can teach you anytime, and you have a new connection with your children. How wonderful is that? So that's it. If you are one of our loyal followers, and you can prove to me or to our team that you have been one of our loyal followers, that you stood by us when we had the most serious financial difficulty after I had my corporate bank account seized, and my brother passed away, and and they looted my other two bank accounts in another bank, which was one of those society bank accounts, but they still got it. So I had no money, but our indigenous brothers and some friends of mine paid for my ticket to my brother's funeral in Darwin. I went up there. My family paid for everything while I was there, because I had no income, and I had no business because I got shut down by the Rothschilds. Now the other thing was our indigenous brothers up there and our whitefella brothers also came in and helped finance us, myself and Fraser Tahoe. So all those of you who remain faithful to us, we're giving you an invite to this top secret Sustainable Nation Building Industry Conference. Normally 50 grand. For you, it's free, right? We will bring in our institutional investors to provide you also with the $20,000 technology package as a gift from us, all right? And we will also put your children into a PLN 21 so that you have a good revenue stream coming in for the future through the children. So, and that's tax-free, by the way, and our advisors will set up the right appropriate corporate structure for your children to minimise your taxation and provide security of your income and your assets. So, that's what we're doing, and that's for showing your loyalty to myself and to Fraser Tahoe. and Fraser's coming in as the new CEO to run our corporation. And because of I ran into this financial crisis that our people pulled us out of, I've got to get out of the business. I've been told by Ernst & Young, get my name out of the business, get right out, hand the business over to Fraser Tahoe and a new corporate team, high profile. If my name's not in the business, also the fact that I am the original Mick Jagger that you're going to hear about in the Truth About 9/11 podcast. I'm not proud of what I did, but I was under the age of 18. I cannot be convicted for what I did, the many crimes that I did and got away with, including burning down the brand new police station on the morning of its inauguration, Foxton Police Station. So that notoriety is coming back to bite me, and I just want you to know that I'm not the foggiest bit interested in being famous. Otherwise I would have been out there promoting myself. If you look here, this is the Harrison profiling system, or when I did it was called the interview profiles. If you have a look there, right, there's my name there, James Newman, and Maori, it's Hemi Newman. If you look there at the top, for precision, what do I get? 9.99 out of 10, perfect score for precision. For planning, I got 9.87, you can see it there. And for organise, I got 9.66, see it there. And also for relax, 9.49. When you're in a relaxed state, you can multitask across several businesses, across several industries, all at the same time to bring a vision to fruition. And our vision is simple, is to create a happy future for our children and for our children's children, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous. And the reason we say non-Indigenous as well is because our website called the Indigenous Peoples Learning Network is also for the benefit of non-Indigenous children. So please, children, do not think that website is not for you if you're non-Indigenous. It is actually for you. It's that our Indigenous Peoples Learning Network is the marketing arm for our sustainable nation building industry, which is the next most powerful organisation on the planet for transforming whole nations into sustainable economies that will be unaffected by all the coal, railway tracks being cut up, by all the petroleum crash of all the petroleum companies, be totally unaffected. And you'll get to live in these beautiful upmarket accommodation within our sustainable cities in paradise, and beautiful furniture. There'll be no poverty, zero emissions, zero waste, zero crime as well, all right? So, and zero emissions. So these are the being built in the beautiful pristine wilderness areas throughout the frontier and emerging markets for our followers that come through the happy training curriculum and qualify, and then earn enough, graduate and qualify and earn enough bonus points by teaching others how to discover their pathway to happiness and future enjoyable employment, living within a sustainable village for Indigenous peoples, for repatriating them back into the beautiful pristine wilderness areas on their native lands, and also into the beautiful pristine wilderness areas in the sustainable cities in paradise. Right? Corporate owned and operated, therefore has no government intervention, no religions in there as well. So coming back to this, my standard score, I am the most notorious gangster from New Zealand, the most fair gangster because of my reputation, but I was under the age of 18, so I refused to take responsibility for my actions and what I did. And we created the world's first invisible and indestructible dark network criminal organisation, which is responsible for cutting up all the railway tracks and the NBN cables in the 179 nations that are part of Agenda 21. And hence the reason that the First Nation I sent this particular invitation to panicked, contacted the top hierarchy in politics and said, get our name out of Agenda 21, distance ourselves before we get our railway tracks cut up and we get our darn NBN cables cut up. And that's just the beginning. So what I do want to point out here with regards to notoriety, I've avoided it for 45 years. I don't actually want it, but I'm using it for the promotion of our sustainable nation building industry. If you look there, what's that one there? This is, you can see all the different traits, but if you have a look at my lowest trait there, says 3.02 wants recognition. I'm not a glory seeker, I'm not here for recognition, but I am going to capitalise on my notoriety, because when it comes to the media wants stories that are new. Cutting up the railway tracks is new, cutting up the NBN cables is new. Revealing myself as the original Mick Jagger from Foxton, the co-creator of the world's first invisible and indestructible dark network criminal organisation, which is now the Maori Triads, is new. So it's what's new, what's hot, and who's famous. So what's going to be hot in November is when the first lot of railway tracks are cut up here in Australia to halt 30% of the world's coal power production. That will create a 43% electricity shortfall right around the planet. So if you live in a town or city that has 100% reliance on coal, you are going to experience a total blackout, like I talk about on my videos here, which means that you will have no electricity to heat your house, to run your electric stove, to run the hood above the stove. You'll have no toaster, you'll have no microwave, you will have no dishwasher, no clothes, no washing machine, you'll have no clothes dryer, you'll have no television set, well, you have those, but they won't be working because you won't have any electricity for them. You won't have your sound system going, you won't have your desktop computer, your printer, right? Nothing's going to be going. You'll have no lights at night, right? You also have no use of your laptop, your mobile devices, because you won't be able to charge them. There'll be no electricity with 100% blackout. This is why what I'm saying is so serious, which is what made that First Nation, and I've only sent one of these out, panic. Get our name out of Agenda 21, distance our nation from it before we get our railway track cut up, because that underworld's already cut the first one up in January. Watch my video. BHP, runaway train, derailment, cover up. Hemi Newman, famous Mick Jagger on YouTube. So you watch that and you'll know this is no idle threat. It gave our institutional investors, our green investors, a head start that this is not a joke. This is a very real threat. It's going to happen. Sell up your mansions, put lipstick on the pig, as Harry Dent said, right? And get rid of it, right? And sell up. So the ones that are wise followed, knowing that it was a very real threat. So in one of our videos, you can find out who the Maori Triads are, the Foxton Boys gang, where they originated, how come they've never been caught, how come none of us have ever been brought to justice, why the media are terrified of us and they don't want to publish one story about us. It's too dangerous. So that's where we're at. So we're using, as I say there, I don't want recognition. The only reason that I'm speaking about this is that from a marketing perspective, what's new, what's hot, and who's famous. So I'm already famous as the famous Mick Jagger, the most notorious of the New Zealand gangsters. So we might as well piggyback off that fame, right? And it sends a very clear message to any nation that wants to come up against the Maori Triads and in any way, kiss goodbye to your railway tracks, kiss goodbye to your NBN cables. And so they plan to crash the stock markets by cutting up the railway tracks here in Australia, creating this global energy crisis where 43% of the world's electricity won't be there anymore, which means total blackouts and rolling brownouts, and if you do have some renewables. So it's going to bankrupt China and India. Every 3 days, continual uploading of coal train derailments to keep plummeting the stocks of the coal industry, to scare all the investors out of it, from extraction right through to transportation, right through, whether it's in the railways or in the shipping or in the combustion in the blast furnaces or whatever, or coal-fired power stations. So you're in for one big shock, and as I say, what's hot, what's new, who's famous? I'm famous. And as I say, I don't particularly want the glory, I don't particularly want even any form of recognition, but I'm only doing it so as to bring awareness to people that you're in trouble. No electricity, no life. If you've got no electricity in your suburb, your house is worth nothing. Zip. Who wants to buy a house that's as hot as can be here in Australia because you've got no air conditioning? That's what zero net worth, right? And Aussies need to wake up, right? And in winter, it's damn cold here at the moment. So you need to think about that. And as I said, I've used 14 different names. You can hear about it in my different podcasts, and also particularly in the Harry Dent. Check out the Harry Dent review seminar on my YouTube channel, and you'll learn about the 14 different names I used and how I remained invisible for 45 years. And the underworld really liked that video. And because no one knew what I looked like, so I was able to get away with it. But now I'm capitalising on my fame, which I didn't particularly want. I didn't particularly plan, because I was only a young boy, 17 years of age, when I created all that, because I was crazy married. And I was what we call epileptic schizophrenic. So, and you see, there's no psychologist or psychiatrist on the planet that can tell you the mindset of someone who's epileptic schizophrenic, because you do not have an epileptic fit where you swallow your tongue. No. Right? And I'm not going to tell you what it's about. The only reason I found out that I had that illness, mental illness, was another one who has it told me. Right? And he's high up in the underworld. And he told me. And that's the only reason I found out what it was. So, look, send me an email, famousmickjagger@gmail.com, requesting a copy of this invitation. If you are one of our loyal followers, and you know who you are, you looked after Fraser Tahoe, you looked after myself, right, and you looked after our teams. If you are one of them, send me an email and we'll give you an invite. We'll set you up to watch this, and not only that, we'll set you up with a PLN 21, which will bring you $285,000 a year in profit sharing from the sale of our Happy Training curriculum, because your PLN 21 will have the license agreement to sell it, and we'll promote it through live streaming out of the top of a skyscraper, so you don't even have to do the selling process. We'll do it for you. So anyway, I won't go into that. So when you do send me the email, I want you to answer this question, and put the answer to this question as, right, if you had $100 million, what would you do with it? What would you spend it on? Right? What would you spend it on? Who would you look after with that money? Just tell me what it is, all right? And if I like your answer, I will give you an invitation. If I don't like your answer, I'm not going to give you an invitation and squander $70,000 worth of invitation and also the technologies. So if I like, as I say, if I like your answer, you're in. And we're going to look after you, we're going to look after your children as well. Over here we have a press release that's going to be sent out at some stage, and it says there, political leaders panic as the sudden rise of Agenda 21 rebellion creates the most horrific threat to our global economy. And in these two videos I've just told you why. Alright, so as I say, I'm not proud of my background, I'm not proud of what I've done throughout my life, and I'm only doing it to capitalise on my notoriety. And also the thing is this, the #1 music genre in the world today, it's not Taylor Swift with her pop music. She's promoted as the #1 artist on the planet, but she's not, right? Because 7 out of 10 of the most listened to albums on Spotify in 2018 were hip hop. Now, they say 70% of the young people all around the world are listening to hip hop, gangster rap. Who's got the most patched up gangsters in the world per head of population? New Zealand. New Zealand Maori gangs. Who brought out the Once Were Warriors movie? The Maoris, right? Who created New Zealand's first gangland capital? Foxton boys, right? Who triggered the 1973 gangland war, major gangland war, where the Foxton boys cleaned up using the first invisible and indestructible dark network criminal organisation comprising 7 Maori gangs? Who started that war? It was me, the notorious Mick Jagger from Foxton. So, if we created and transformed Foxton into the first gangland capital of New Zealand, and as a result of that, we also set some of the gang behaviour and trends throughout New Zealand, and we're now the nation with the most patched up gangsters on the planet, and I'm the most notorious of the old school gangsters that started that, how famous will I become once it's all out there? Right? Now, as I say, you've seen my profile. I don't want the fame, but I'm doing it for the sake of our vision, for our children, to bring awareness to Agenda 21 rebellion and Extinction Rebellion. And it's the underworld that are going to bring to fruition an apocalyptic prophecy at Revelation 11 verse 18, which says God will bring to ruin those ruining the earth. And it's interesting because there's all these other apocalyptic prophecies about the King of the North rising from the east. And that's where the Maori Triads come from. Hawke's Bay, where the sun rises first in the world. It's on the east coast of New Zealand, and they are the kings of the underworld from the North Island of New Zealand. So we don't get into religion and we don't get into politics because we hate both of them. So the Maori Triads don't want anything to do with Maoridom or the Maori culture, because they hate them, because they put a makutu, or a what we call a curse upon our family, and it's gone through several generations of our family, created the worst suffering, and as a result they disown Maoridom. So that's it. So there's no controlling them through the Maori leadership or through politics. They are not. They disown New Zealand as their country of origin. Their children have been raised over in Australia and the United States and around the world in the best universities and education facilities. They're now high up as lawyers, accountants, and sustainability experts. So this is what you're dealing with now, and there's no stopping them. And just last week, the Asian underworld also said they're in, and they're back in this Agenda 21 rebellion. And when you bring in the Asian underworld, the Asian Triads, and you hook them to the Maori Triads, you have one very, very dangerous underworld organisation that doesn't take nonsense from anybody. All right? So, as I say, for the moment, I'm in here capitalising on my notoriety to bring awareness to our vision, to create a happy future for our children through the rapid mass production of sustainable villages for our indigenous brothers and sisters, and for sustainable cities in paradise for our non-indigenous brothers and sisters. And when I say indigenous, our indigenous brothers in Russia are white-skinned, our indigenous brothers in Denmark, Poland, and up there in Europe, they all have white skin, but they're indigenous and we love them, including the Scottish, who us Maoris really love. So when we say indigenous, it's not about dark people, it's not about black people, it's about people who are indigenous to our lands where they have the vital resources, and we're pulling them in behind us. We need those vital resources. So our priority is helping the nations throughout Africa that have the vital resources. We have the mining and petroleum companies hooked to us that are happy to come in and conduct the resources extraction of the minerals like lithium that we need, and the essential vital resources we need for our manufacturing hubs, the new high-tech manufacturing hubs that are being constructed throughout the frontier and emerging markets to manufacture and supply a wide range of environmentally friendly products for delivery to our construction sites just on time, which is Japanese lean production. I'll talk about that another time. I've got to finish here. I've gone over time. It's now 27 minutes. So follow us on social media when we go, bringing the experts run us straight through Instagram and right across all the social media platforms.